From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine on a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th consecutive year, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. At the southern regions of the headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, we find Bud Shaw.
That's the South Florida branch.
We zeroed in on you. We got a shot in the next 3 weeks to actually find you and see what you're up to down there. So what are you up to down there?
Well, I want to make sure that people understand that while I'm inside talking to you, Les, that it's by choice. I am not been quarantined down here. Mostly I'm inside because it's 87 degrees and very warm out. And
It's too hot.
Get no empathy from anybody for saying that.
Next week, we'll give you a newspaper. You'll hold it up like the hostages, make sure we have the proper date. So what's new down, how are those Dolphins doing? The football team.
I think I told you the last time that we talked from down here. You know, I brought my my Roku setup, so I'm streaming all Cleveland sports events and TV shows and newscasts live.
All right, so you must know what happened.
I've been keeping up. I've been trying to keep up.
It's about time somebody on this show did. All right, so you are well aware of what happened the other day when Francisco Lindor sort of made it clear if anybody had any hopes that he was going to sign a contract sometime soon. They are fully aware that that's not going to happen. Anything about that surprise you?
Not really. You know, even when he was talking during spring training about how he believes baseball can afford a salary like his, and the Indians were showing interest in negotiating or at least making an offer to him, I still didn't think it was going to head anywhere. I mean, you're talking about one of the top 5 players in the league right now who sees himself as a $400 million guy or $350 million guy.
Well, he's only that. He's only that if there are teams that'll bid against each other at that level. And I'm not sure right now. There may be. Who do you think? The Yankees, Dodgers, and who else?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the teams that were at the top of the payroll last year, and you know it's Yankees, Dodgers, Boston. I believe the Washington Nationals were 4th, and we know that they didn't re-sign Bryce Harper. So,
and they won the whole thing.
And they won the World Series. So, you know, I wondered what you made of the math. I hear Lindor say that they ought to be able to afford him if they can put a $120 million payroll out on the field. I'm not so sure that's true in every season. If he's going to be pulling in $40 million a year, is that what we guess his average salary would be?
Over 10 years.
35.
Yeah,
35.
I would think 35 is that number. I think whatever is the biggest number at that time, and right now the biggest numbers would be Machado and Harper.
Trout, right? And Harper, right?
Yeah, and Trout not far behind.
I mean, there's a whole nother discussion to have, Les, as to whether it makes sense to sign any one baseball player to that kind of a deal. In those markets where they can command that kind of payroll, generally they're also at the high end of the attendance every year. And I am not by any means putting the onus on Indians fans, but they've had Francisco Lindor to watch for how many years now? Has that sold out the park? Did it sell it out in 2016 when they went to a World Series, in 2017 when they were coming off a World Series loss?
Well,
I just think that the economics of it don't suggest that it might not be the smartest move.
Not just for Cleveland, but for most other teams.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe at the end of this season, though, Boston may say, you know, we really messed up on Mookie Betts, but we can make it good by signing Francisco Lindor. And maybe that money shows up again.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that $120 million doesn't sound like a lot to people, but you have to figure out, like, how are you going to keep a pitching staff together when Bieber and Clevenger can command what they should be able to command as a number 1 and number 2 starter? With Santana, Santana's not going to be around in the distant future, or maybe even the near future. But we're talking about a guy that was 15 to 20 million probably based on his production last year.
I had a thought while driving around looking for strange addresses. No, it's not what it seems to be. I started thinking that, just like you said, that there's no guarantee if you have Lindor that A, it gets you anywhere, and B, it sells you a lot of tickets. And I know that there was a quote from Paul Dolan years and years and years ago, and he said something to the effect that if they show up, the old restaurant thing, that you start coming here and we'll make better food. You remember that analogy they used to use?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if there's some kind of a deal, because Paul Dolan isn't going to please the Indians fan base no matter what he does. But I'm wondering if you could almost make a deal with the fans, if you're Paul Dolan, where you said, all right, I'll give you the economics of it, and here's what we have, how many tickets we have to sell and all that. And I'm just wondering if they made an offer to Francisco Lindor or anybody in the future and showed you how much that really brings in financially. I'm just wondering if maybe the fans would get into a bargaining thing where they would say, all right, we'll buy X amount of tickets, and if so, you'll be forced to sign a commitment for $20 million, $30 million, or whatever it is.
It's a nice thought, but history tells us that fans don't speak with one voice. We've heard people before, fan groups get together and talk about boycotting a team or a sport, or turning their back during a national anthem over something that they didn't like, and generally that just passes and nothing ever happens. So
right.
It would be a hard thing to gather that many people together for a common cause. But I would be interested in hearing the results of that. Like, what would it take? What do they feel they can spend on the rest of the roster if they're paying Francisco Lindor $35 million a year?
Well, I heard some talk on radio that it doesn't make any sense economically to spend over 22.6% on one guy or whatever, and so what they suggested is up the amount that the whole team payroll is, and that doesn't do any good except give you some made-up number that you then have to meet. I mean, if you're going to do that, you may as well just pay that amount no matter what. Overpay.
Yeah, I mean, there was a reason why this ownership had a minority owner. I think they're a very good family, good for Cleveland, but also a family that people mistakenly think are billionaires, or running around with Dan Gilbert-like money and just refuse to spend it. I just think this is about what we're going to get as long as the Dolans are the owners here.
Yeah, the Indians.
You can tell them to sell it. I mean, you can scream and get on a soapbox and say, sell the team. They're not going to sell the team. I mean, they're part of the community, and this team's part of the community.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the last 6 months? People are winning in record numbers, and winning is happening all around the state of Ohio. Play Ohio Lottery games and play it today. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine. With new content is added each and every day, and you, of course, can respond to our question of the day and undoubtedly get it on the air that very night. We'll take a break. Bud Shaw is with us. More Sports and Les Levine continues. We'll take a look at the odds for a Cy Young Award winner, not just from the Indians, but everybody in the American League. Back with more in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine exclusively on cleveland.com.
The heart-pounding, fast-breaking action of college basketball is back when the 2020 Mid-American Conference Basketball Tournament returns to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse March 11th through the 14th. Presented by Visit Myrtle Beach. Pulses will rise and hearts will race as the men and women of the MAC put it all on the line. Tickets for the MAC tournament are on sale now online at rocketmortgagefieldhouse.com and at all Northern Ohio discount drug marts. MAC Tournament Basketball. Be there.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C, they transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
This portion of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. Let's take a look at the birthdays for March 11th. Will Ted Flowers was born in 1947. Bobby Abreu, Elton Brand, Dan Ugla, as well as Greg Olson and Anthony Davis, having a pretty nice year. All born on the 11th of March. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw is with us. Let's take a look at pitching in the American League. Some pretty good pitchers out there, Bud. We've had a couple of Cy Young awards for Corey Kluber here with Cleveland. He now is gone at Texas. Let's take a look at what Presque Isle Downs and Casino is telling us about who this year's AL Cy Young Award winner will be. Garrett Cole is there at 9-5, followed by Chris Sale of Boston. Justin Verlander says he's not going to. It'll take a miracle for him to be able to start on opening day. He's at 9-1. Blake Snell of Tampa Bay at 11-1. Shane Bieber and Mike Clevenger 5th and 6th, 12-1 and 14-1. Then it's Zach Greinke of Houston at 16-1, and the obligatory Corey Kluber has to be in there for Texas at 18-1. Any thought on who it's going to be? I'm casting my ballot for Garrett Cole.
You are. I was just about to say anybody but Garrett Cole.
Well, I guess I agree that if you come up with a name like that, the guy who's taking the rest of the field probably has the advantage. Well,
I think my point is that I think it's hard when you join a new organization and guys have gone to New York and not been the guy that they were in their previous city. So I would be a tough one to bet on.
Hey, let's jump back on the Francisco Lindor thing, because somebody had told me that despite the fact he obviously wants the biggest contract he can get, he's not particularly locked in on playing for the New York Yankees. Have you heard that?
I have not heard that. I think he's a guy that'd be open to almost anything. I mean, can you imagine him in Manhattan? Like, it seems like the perfect place for him. But I think he's a guy that could walk in and play in L.A. He could be happy playing in Minnesota, but I'm not suggesting Minnesota's going to sign him.
No, but I'm wondering, because of the Derek Jeter hangover from a couple of years ago and his great career that he had, almost just a phenomenal career, and you just wonder if Francisco Lindor could live up to that. I mean, I think he's one of the top position players in the game of baseball, but I'm wondering if he could live up to the comparisons over a 10, 12, 14-year career in New York.
Yeah. That'd be awfully difficult. I mean, he is a special player, and I know people think that we make, you and I, Les, and others make excuses for the Dolans for not being able to afford that kind of player. If you're ever going to do it for a guy, he's the guy. I just don't know that by doing that you assure yourself a better chance than you have right now of winning a World Series.
Yeah, and part of the problem is now, other than the beginning of last year when he had that injury that cost him, I think, 19 games, he's been injury-free. You don't, but odds tell you over an 8 or 10-year period, somebody's going to get hurt somewhere along the line, and you still have to pay out that money on payday. Yeah,
I just saw something that our friend Bert Grave posted to Facebook today, and if anybody doesn't know, Bert was a longtime Cleveland sports writer. And he talked about the games down the stretch last year when they needed desperately to win, and Lindor hit like 111 or something in those last 5 games. I don't know that that's necessarily fair to do, to pull out that small of a sample from a guy's season. But that's what happens when you pay these kinds of salaries to these guys.
You're asking for it.
They're expected to perform in the highest pressure situations. And I think he's done fairly well at that, but he's still only one player. And other than watching Barry Bonds when I attended that World Series when they played Oakland in the World Series, I never have seen a guy that another team tried to avoid by pitching around and still got burnt by that player. Usually you can pitch around these guys. That's the thing about baseball.
I suppose we're talking with Bud Shaw, who is enjoying the sunshine down south. We showed the odds for the Cy Young Award this year. Let's take a look at what Mike Clevenger has done in his Indians career. You see 4 years and let's see, 15 and 16. That's 31 wins in those 4 years.
That's pretty impressive. In that 2019 season, if he misses an early month of the season, or I can't remember if it might have been more than that, with a pulled muscle in his back. I mean, that easily could have been a 17-5 season. If he
Sure.
been healthy.
I started to say how many wins it is, and it dawned on me that wins apparently don't count anymore for pitchers. Do you? I don't know how that's possible, that the new math tells you the wins are no big deal.
Yeah, I've seen that in a few of the Cy Young discussions over the last few years, where guys look like they don't have the number of wins to be a top 1 or 2 or 3 contender, and yet the case is made that all of their other statistics were through the roof. I'm not smart enough, or I guess open-minded enough to understand all that.
Yeah, Shane Bieber on that list of the odds Cy Young Award winner, and of course he was the MVP of the All-Star game held in Cleveland last year. I don't care if you can't look at wins. I'm looking at him. 26 wins.
Yeah, the other thing
26 and 13.
The other thing it's hard not to look at, Les, is that strikeout to walk ratio.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's one part of the new analytics I go for, strikeouts versus walks.
Yeah, I do get that.
Yeah. So as we get closer to opening day, and you're keeping informed on what's going on here, Reyes is hitting the heck out of the baseball, 5 home runs already as we do this show. And that'll solve a lot of problems if he if he can hit 40, 45 home runs on the season.
Yeah, absolutely. If he can be that kind of a hitter, he hasn't been that guy up to this point in his career, but he's still a fairly young player.
I'm talking about Franmil Reyes.
Yes.
Got to get used to it. It doesn't roll off yet.
I mean, I don't think we're going to see him patrolling the outfield on a consistent basis.
He made a nice diving catch the other day, which surprised almost everybody who was there.
Which means he probably should have been able to get to it standing up. No, I mean, he doesn't have the range out there. He doesn't have the speed to play it. But I think they feel that they want to be able to play him when they go to National League parks, at the very least. Yeah. And certainly at other points in the season, too.
If he didn't dive for it, we wouldn't be talking about it.
We would have heard it had he dived for it. We probably did.
Lost a lot of weight, no question about it. All right, as we get closer to the year, to the season, as it will unfold in 2 weeks, if the snow isn't there on the 26th of March, what do you think? You thinking more positive about the team and all?
Yeah, I mean, I realize that there's injuries, and this team has gotten off to slower starts over the last few years. So I wouldn't be surprised if that narrative repeats itself. Under Francona, they've always been, or seemed to be, a better team in the second half of the season. I still like their chances, and I like this to be a two-team division race. So I think it's going to be them and the Twins, and I don't think the Twins are going to run away with it.
Do you have any idea why Francona's teams here in Cleveland have started slow? He's not doing anything different, is he?
Remember, we went through this with Eric Wedge, too, and he tried a few different things in spring training, trying to get guys ready for opening day, and it just didn't happen, And there were other times. I think there have been a couple of those anomaly seasons where they have gotten off to pretty good starts under different managers, and in the end, they're pretty much the same team. I wouldn't complain about it with Francona, because at the end of the season, they were, a 92-win team with a number of injuries last year.
Yeah, it's just...
they've been a 100-win team under him. I think their chances. I think I picked them to win 88.
It just
But
gets.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did better than
It-
that. I'd be surprised if they did less than that.
Yeah, it's just those wins become so hard to get when you get into mid and late September, and you'd like to get a pretty good start on that. Northeast Factory Direct.
Especially if you've traded Francisco Lindor in July.
Ouch! Don't hurt me like this.
On that note,
May very well happen. Actually, the longer it goes, I think the sillier it is for a team to try to get him and just wait another a year and a half, and get him as a free agent. I mean, they're not going to be able to give the Indians what they want in a trade, I don't think. And they're not going to get the value if they get him for a year and a half and then don't re-sign him, the other team I'm talking about, then they've wasted a lot of talent also. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 locations, east, west, and south, plus the website, northeastfactorydirect.com. I've been telling you about them for almost a year now. They've got, not only do they have the lowest prices around, they've added the best price guarantee. If you buy something and within the next year you find out that it costs more money, it costs less money somewhere else, Alex will refund the difference to you right on the spot. He believes he's got the best prices and the best quality of anybody in this area. Northeast Factory Direct with best price guarantee. We'll come back in a minute. Replacing, what are we going to do about replacing a couple of Cleveland Browns defenders, Joe Schobert and Christian Kirksey? More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate Naturestone's 30-year anniversary with a free Naturestone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making Naturestone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit Naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say, it's not just a floor, wow, it's Naturestone.
Got your Ohio Lottery pick 3, I see.
Yup. Those glasses are hip.
Hip? Most people think I'm a square. But what's wrong with that? A box bet can increase your chances of winning. And what is a box? A square. There are so many ways to play. They're just coming out the wazoo. Oh, shucks. Look at me yammering on. Put a lid in it, Picky Ricky. Play the Ohio Lottery Pick 3 today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The girls' state semis and championships are at St. John Arena. Go to Ticketmaster.com, type in OHSAA in the search artists, venues, and events, and you will be able to find tickets for all the OHSAA championships. That's Ticketmaster.com. Type in OHSAA in the search artists, venues, and events, and you'll see all the championship ticket information.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les Levine. Bud Shaw is with us. Hey, Bud, I saved some quickies from the other night, which you obviously didn't get to grade, or you're going to get a chance. I saved them because it's a nice big stack of really good ones.
Oh, I'm sure, Les. That's generally what the rule at that.
Yeah,
quickies.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a look at some replacements that are going to be needed defensively for the Cleveland Browns because they released Christian, or they're not going after Christian Kirksey and apparently not Joe Schobert. So Jamie Collins, an old friend, he's 30 years old. He's still available. Went from the Patriots to the Browns, back to the Patriots. 7 NFL seasons, career high of 5 fumbles forced. with the Patriots in 2015. Made the Pro Bowl that year. He made $900K in 2019. Jamie Collins do anything for you?
Well, I really would have to see what he wants. It seems to me that he made so little last year comparatively that he's going to want a much better contract this time around.
All right.
I thought he was one of the more talented guys and one of the more underachieving players I've seen in a few years.
But he must have done something right because Belichick took him back.
Yeah, well, he took $900,000 to play football. That helped.
That's also true. Devondre Campbell, 26 years old, 4 NFL seasons with the Falcons, 129 tackles, couple of sacks, 2 INTs in 2019. They are all career highs. Made $2 million in 2019. He's an intriguing guy based on his age of 26.
Yeah, the thing about having replacements like Mac Wilson and Sione Takitaki, you can say, well, look, the organization did good work. They've got these guys that can step right in. But the fact is, you don't want those guys as your starters this year if the idea is making the playoffs. They've become awful young at that position and also at safety over the offseason. They've got a lot of work to do to fill those.
What are you saying? They were okay as
No, I think they're
guys coming off the bench.
I think they're good young players.
Yeah.
But my concern, look, when you look at both Schobert and Kirksey, and the circumstances that led to Schobert testing the market and Kirksey, not agreeing to a restructured contract. Both of those things make sense from the Browns' standpoint. I get it. Linebacker isn't that coveted a position anymore. You don't want to pay a guy like Schobert what he's going to command probably from some other team. And certainly you want Kirksey at a lot less than what you paid him last year when he was injured and only played a couple of games.
Yeah.
But you're also leaving go 2 guys that are the kind of veteran players now that you want in the locker room and on the field.
And from an analytics point of view.
Yeah, we've seen this before from this organization, where they allow these guys to go thinking, oh, well, financially it doesn't make that much sense. Then they go out on the free agent market and they have to overpay for somebody else that might not be as much of a team player as the guys they let go.
I've never understood the fact that you have a guy and you say, well, if I get him for your own guy, if I keep him for the right price, it's a good deal for us. Either you want him or you don't want him. And all I think you do is if you lowball him, that there's problems in the locker room. The guy's never going to be satisfied, and I think that's understandable. He would take less money to play somewhere else as opposed to taking less money for a place that he was established in already.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have heard anything more about the Kirksey thing. All we know is they were trying to restructure his contract, and I don't blame him for that. Do you? I mean, he's come off 2 injury-filled seasons.
Yeah, but again, you've gotten by that by deciding you want him. If you're going to offer him something, you've already told everybody that the injuries don't matter at this point. I mean, he's either going to be healthy or he's not going to be healthy. Either they want him or they don't want him, and lowballing him shouldn't be the answer to this riddle.
Well, what would you do for a guy who played 2 games last year?
Well, I probably
keep him at the salary that he was going to make?
No, I probably would let him go.
Yeah, that's what I think the decision was, and he probably thinks that he can do better than what they were offering him on the free agent market, and he may find out that that's not true.
Right,
because of the position he plays, and also because of the injuries that he's had.
Nick Vigil has played with the Cincinnati Bengals in his 4 NFL seasons. Last year, 111 tackles, 1 sack, 1 INT, and a fumble for recovery, and 295 tackles in 54 career games. He made $2 million in 2019. That seems to be the dollar figure they'd be looking at, right?
Yeah, I think somewhere in that market. I would be kidding you if I told you that I spent any time watching Bengals football last year other than 2 games that they played the Browns.
Yeah, that's for sure. John Bostic, 7 NFL seasons. He's played with the Bears early on, then the Patriots, the Lions, the Colts, the Steelers, and the Redskins last year. So obviously he can't hold a job, bud.
Boy, talk about one and done, huh?
Wow. Well,
yeah,
one and done at each.
He only stays at these places 1 year, and that would worry me a little there.
And in 2016, he missed the season with a leg injury. He had 105 tackles in 2019, 1 INT and 1 sack, and he defended 2 passes, and he made $1.8 million in 2019. I think the injury and the fact that, you know, if guys go to that many teams, there's something. It can't be just one team's fault. If you got 6 or 7 teams in a 7-year period, there's something wrong somewhere.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's the old breakup line, right? It's not you, it's me.
Well, I don't know anything about that.
It is him. Yeah. Okay.
Tri-C is the place to go. You want to check them out and find a program that puts you on a path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu to find out more information. We'll come back in a moment. Believe it or not, there's some draft history by the Browns that could actually favor them. I can't wait to see that. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
If a piston makes it go, it's in this show. March Motor Mania takes over the 2020 Summit Racing Equipment IX Piston-Powered Autorama. March 13th, 14th, and 15th at the IX Center. Show cars, antique trucks, construction equipment, hot rods in the asylum, motorcycles, military vehicles, and themed car clubs. New for 2020, the Throwdown Monster Trucks, and the return of Fat Man's Invasion. With Euros, imports, sport compacts, and lowriders. Kids 12 and under are free. PistonPowerShow.com for details. Discount tickets on sale at Discount Drug Mart locations and Summit Racing Equipment in Talmadge.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at SmileyOne.com.
Bud Shaw with us, as he normally is each and every week. He'll be back to the northern confines of the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine in a couple of weeks. We'll have to drag you out of there.
Yeah, it's been very nice down here, and I'm meeting some friends to play some golf next week. So that'll make it even harder to leave.
Well, it depends on how well you play or poorly you play.
Yeah, true. That's true.
By the way, for the record, Bud is in the media, the golfing media locally, Bud is by far the best player of the bunch.
Oh, no, that's not true.
Why? Who's better?
Do you ever see Jason Nicholas play? Is he in the media?
Well, he's a weather guy.
Yeah, he's a weather guy.
It gives him an advantage because he knows which way the wind is going and all that stuff. But
I didn't think of that, Les. He should give strokes just for that.
Somebody told me he's a 3 handicap. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's very possible. I've seen him play.
It's a 3. It just seems like it's a 6. I'm trying to come up with a play on word on wind chills, but it didn't work very well. Bud Shaw is with us.
Good effort.
Good effort. Good effort. All right. I hate what I'm about to do in this segment. I'm not going to say I hate it. I just don't believe in it. We're going to do 2 things, Bud. We're going to go
a mock draft.
No, I hate that worse than almost anything. We're going to take a look at the 10. The Browns, of course, have number 10 in the upcoming draft. If they don't trade it up, trade it down, trade it over, or whatever they do to show they're the smartest guys in the room. But somebody will always say, well, so-and-so got so-and-so in the 10th pick, therefore we should be able to do that too. So let's take a look at some overall picks. Number 10 overall pick since 2014. Tight end Eric Ebron from the Lions. Todd Gurley, the running back from the Rams. In 2016, Ohio State's Eli Apple goes to the Giants. Patrick Mahomes, that was a pretty good pick, goes to the Chiefs in 2017. Josh Rosen in 2018. And Devin Bush, the linebacker for the Steelers, in 2019. So right there since 2014, but it doesn't look like a phenomenal list right there. But now we go to some notable picks on the offensive line by your Cleveland Browns. And I think this is what, when we talk about being optimistic, that's what we're looking at on this page. First round with the 21st pick in 2003 was Jeff Fain, who had a very nice career in the NFL. Joe Thomas, the obvious guy who's going to be a Hall of Famer, first round pick with the 3rd pick in 27. Alex Mack was terrific for the Browns, first round with the 21st pick in 2009. Mitchell Schwartz, a 2nd round pick, 37th pick of the draft, that was in 2012. And Joel Bitonio, 2nd rounder, the 35th pick in the draft in 2014. So I would say while the overall picks in the 10th spot, Bud, aren't that phenomenal, I'd say the Browns did a real nice job on the offensive line since 2003.
Yeah, that's encouraging since that's where everyone thinks they're going to pick when they use that 10th pick this time around.
What do you think? You think they're thinking trades, or do you think they'll wait and see how the night is going?
I don't think they're thinking trade. Like last time, this group was together, Dee Podesta, Sashi Brown. I think they were thinking trade going into those drafts. All they wanted to do was, what did they call it? Asset accumulation.
Yep, that's good enough.
That was the mode, right?
Yep.
So, they weren't going to pick one of these top guys. They were going to keep trading down and getting picks and getting picks. I mean, that's no excuse for taking Corey Coleman, but that was their strategy. This time, I don't believe it's a strategy, but if, say, the top 2 left tackles are gone and there's a good tackle a few spots later on that they think could fit on the right side, I think you might see them trade down at that.
How many quarterbacks do you think will be taken by the 10th pick?
I always underestimate it less and say 2 or 3. There could be as many as 4. I just, we know how important that position is and how desperately teams want to fill it. I mean, we think we know that Burrow is going to go 1. And
Tua should go 2.
The idea that 3 more guys could go in the next 10 picks. So yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, well, if that happens, if you've got 4 quarterbacks in the first 10 picks, and obviously you need offensive linemen, all of a sudden Simmons from Clemson comes into play, doesn't he?
He could, and that would be the one area that they would have to really consider going off script.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that he's the 10th pick or that he's down the list. It's just a happenstance situation where it opened up in front of him.
I think it's setting up well for them to get the left tackle that they really want. And look, I was in favor of Joe Thomas being picked 3rd overall versus a quarterback that year. And that was one of the rare times that I was actually right. But I think when you get that left tackle, you got a guy for the next 10 years.
All right, if you had a guy, let's say in free agency, that the money, you've decided the money would be right for this guy, even though it's different for each position. Who's the one guy that you would maybe overspend to get? And I'm just not saying some wild dream here. I mean, I'm talking about a legitimate possibility of getting a guy with that 10th pick without doing too many shenanigans to get him. Who's the guy you would overpay a little bit to get?
In free agency?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be Trent Williams, I can tell you that. I mean, I'm sorry, Trent Williams would require a trade.
Yes.
So that's not exactly the question you're asking.
Well, we'll throw him in. So you wouldn't take him?
Well, only because I've seen some of the figures over what he wants to be paid. I mean, part of the reason he sat out that last year in Washington was his beef with the medical staff, which sounds like he may have had an argument. But I think the rest of it was that he didn't want to play for that money, and he didn't want to take a chance on getting hurt. And these figures that we're seeing of him thinking that he's going to make upward of $15 million a year or more are just crazy.
No, I don't see
not at his age. But beyond that, I haven't really looked at the free agent list and injury. I haven't really looked at the free agent list that closely to say that there's one guy,
No, but do you think that the Browns are in a position, if they want to go hunting on the free agent tree, that they would have to overpay a little bit? I mean, somebody's going to look at this and say, wait a minute, you got a 32-year-old GM, you got a new head coach, you've got the question marks at the wide receiver, even though you know they're good or they should be good when they're healthy. An awful lot of questions for a guy who supposedly has great talent.
Yeah, and there's a lot more doubt, I think, about Baker Mayfield after last season. And that's not that I believe he's going to be less than what we think. I still think he's going to be a very good quarterback in this league for many years.
You know, if
I'm a free agent and I'm looking at it, I certainly don't feel as confident in that assessment as I did after his rookie year.
No, but as we're getting further down the road, I'm hearing more and more people think he was worse and worse and worse than they did 3 months ago. It seems like now the label has been attached that the guy's horrible. And I don't believe that for a minute.
I don't believe that either. I mean, when he came in that season, Les, and took over in that Jets game, I think those last 5 games that he played, he was sacked like maybe once a game, if that. And he may not have been sacked at all during that one stretch. And, and that allowed him to look downfield and look off receivers. I don't think he had any confidence in what was happening in front of him this year. Yeah. And that's not to absolve him of some really bad plays.
It does seem that as time goes on, he was worse and worse than he maybe really was. So we'll see. This will be a make or break year. You talk about money involved. This is the one where you got to come up shooting to keep the quarterback if he's the guy you want.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to know at the end of this season whether this is a guy that you want to pour that money into.
Yeah.
And I think the answer to that will be yes. I think Stefanski's a good enough offensive coach, and Alex Van Pelt has a pretty good resume with Aaron Rodgers and some others that I think there's a lot of reason to feel confident in that group.
I've been talking about Northeast Factory Direct for quite some time now. You know the story. Alex started it in a garage in his home. One piece of furniture. He sold it. He didn't have much expense on it, and he made money and saved the customer a lot of money, and he used that model of selling furniture. He used that to what he's got today, which is 20 years of business with 3 locations plus the great website. You want to check that out for if you're interested in cabinets. But people ask me, all right, I hear they have the lowest prices. I mean, it's cheap stuff. No, it's not cheap stuff. It's high-quality name brand furniture like Flex Steel in England and Klausner and much, much more, and a couple of really other nice lines of furniture, custom furniture, great style selection of many fabrics. They have Amish furniture made right here in Ohio. You don't get higher quality than that. Check it out, east, west, and south, northeastfactorydirect.com. Sokolowski's University Inn, they've been doing it since 1923. Mike and Bernie's grandparents started it all. 11 to 3 Monday through Friday for lunch, and Friday and Saturday nights for dinner. Starting at 4 o'clock, they are the winners of the James Beard Foundation Award, the highest honor you can receive in the restaurant business. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back. Bud Shaw with us. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone and never replace your basement flooring again. Your concrete is uneven, damp, and not healthy. Carpet and tile don't last, breed mold and mildew, and give worthless warranties. Nature Stone permanently corrects uneven concrete and is not affected by dampness or moisture. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of March. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
heart-pounding, fast-breaking action of college basketball is back when the 2020 Mid-American Conference Basketball Tournament returns to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse March 11th through the 14th. Presented by Visit Myrtle Beach. Pulses will rise and hearts will race as the men and women of the MAC put it all on the line. Tickets for the MAC tournament are on sale now online at rocketmortgagefieldhouse.com and at all Northern Ohio discount drug marts. MAC Tournament Basketball. Be there.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les Levine seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Bud Shaw is with us down to the southern regions of the worldwide headquarters. Hey, Bud, assuming there's no other I'm calling it a distraction. As the sports seasons are starting to go, baseball and all, and you have this a horrible situation with the coronavirus and all. Where does the Final Four or the 64 tournament, where does it stand on your sports calendar or sports list of top, 8 to 10 things in sports?
Probably top 5. And I'm not a huge college basketball fan. I mean, to the point where I follow Ohio State or the Big Ten on a daily basis. I don't get that wrapped up in it. But every March, it's one of the great things that I ever get a chance to watch, and one of the best things I ever got a chance to cover.
Yeah. That's how I feel about hockey, the Stanley Cup, that I hardly follow it at all during the year, and all of a sudden I make sure that I get to see as many games as I can once that starts. There's almost nothing like it, and there really isn't anything like when it's over and the teams at the end, when they skate across at each other and the handshake. That's one of the heartfelt, that's a believable moment, and I think that's why one of the reasons we all love sports the way we do when you see something like that.
Yeah, I started writing sports in New Jersey and in Philadelphia a number of years ago, and started covering those old Flyers teams and the Rangers and Islanders at times. And I had not been a hockey guy other than as a fan. But I'll tell you, when you get to the finals of that sport, being there in person is one of the most electrifying things you'll ever experience.
Yeah, and
between that and standing in the first turn of the Indy 500 when those cars come down and get ready to race, it's pretty amazing.
You want to start running away, getting out of the way of these
pretty
cars?
Much, yeah. You certainly do. It's very scary.
How loud is it? Can you compare it to anything?
I was going to say louder than a Cavs game during a timeout. How's that?
This year or 5 years ago?
5 years ago. No, it's deafening. It's really a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
You rooting for or against LeBron James to win the whole thing?
Hey, you know what?
What's the best story?
I'm so mesmerized by what he's able to do 17 years into his career that I would love to see him win one more.
It doesn't look like he's aging at all. The Wayback Machine is working pretty well.
It's really incredible. It's most incredible on those nights, Les, when you see him play against a guy like Zion Williamson, and you know what this guy's age is and what his energy level and his athletic ability is at age 19 or whatever, and you see LeBron figuring out other ways to be the best player on the floor by a lot.
Yeah, and he's not mailing it in on nights like that.
No, he loves that.
He loves that, yeah, and I wonder if, like in Zion's case, or any of their cases, is it better to let LeBron win early on so you don't have to pay for it once the playoffs start on a night-to-night basis?
That would be my strategy.
Yeah, let him win the first.
I certainly wouldn't take the approach that the Golden State Warriors took a few years ago with Klay Thompson and some of the other things that were said about.
Isn't that? I know how close you cover the NBA now, but isn't it? It's interesting to me. You look at the standings and you see the Cavaliers at the bottom, either below Atlanta or depending on what night it is, maybe above them or tied with them. And then you see Golden State is the worst in the West, and you're saying, well, this is like the bizarro world here, where Golden State's at the bottom and so is Cleveland.
It's that alternate universe, where you're not sure exactly what you're looking at.
Right.
I did see that the Cavs have signed Bickerstaff, I believe, to a long-term deal. Which,
yeah, why not?
Nothing against him, but this just seems so Cavs-like to me. This is what they do.
Been there and done that.
Yeah, and then they whatever happens with the roster the next year, you got guys coming on who aren't necessarily wed to him or have to get used to him all over again, and who knows. I mean, Dan has never really valued those coaches. As soon as they start to lose, he makes a change. So I wouldn't get too comfortable no matter what the length of my contract was in that organization.
No, but this happens all the time where in the case of John Beilein, who coached the Cavs for the first part of the year, all of a sudden when he's dumped, you'd think he doesn't know that the basketball is round. The way they talk about him in the locker room, when it's a whole new atmosphere, it's all this, and we're doing things the right way. No, you were playing terribly for him.
Yeah. And we saw the same thing happen when David Blatt left,
yeah.
And it's just it's almost laughable sometimes. I mean, in his first 9 games, I was getting calls from Michigan radio stations wanting to talk about this incredible job that Beilein had done. They were 4-5 to start the season, and how's he doing that without any talent? With how little talent he has. And listen, it does look like they soured on him. Obviously, I think he would say that too. But the idea that he didn't know what he was doing or was in so far over his head, I just don't believe that.
No, basketball is basketball. It's a round ball that you throw in that hoop, and same thing in YMCA ball, and same thing at the higher levels. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We'll take a look at some quickies and a couple of final thoughts when we get back with Bud Shaw. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Your concrete is cracked, uneven, and not safe. Paints and poly coatings don't last, are slippery, and give worthless warranties. Nature Stone permanently corrects cracked, uneven concrete, eliminates slipping hazards, and is easy to clean. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of March. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
If a piston makes it go, it's in this show. March Motor Mania takes over the 2020 Summit Racing Equipment IX piston-powered Autorama. March 13th, 14th, and 15th at the IX Center. Show cars, antique trucks, construction equipment, hot rods in the asylum, motorcycles, military vehicles, and themed car clubs. New for 2020, the Throwdown Monster Trucks and the return of Fat Man's Invasion. With Euros, imports, sport compacts, and lowriders. Kids 12 and under are free. PistonPowerShow.com for details. Discount tickets on sale at Discount Drug Mart locations and Summit Racing Equipment in Talmadge.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The girls' state semis and championships are at St. John Arena.
Go to Ticketmaster.com, type in OHSAA in the search artists, venues, and events, and you will be able to find tickets for all the OHSAA championships. That's Ticketmaster.com, type in OHSAA in the search artists, venues, and events, and you'll see all the championship ticket information.
You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine, with new content posted each and every day. St. John Arena, what a great college venue. Bud, you ever see a game at Old St. John Arena?
Yeah, I did. I saw a few. My best memories of doing college basketball were when I was working in Atlanta, because we covered a lot of the ACC and SEC back in the day, and did a number of Duke, North Carolina games at Cameron, and
at Carmichael.
And saw a great Georgia Tech team that had a couple players on it that people might remember. Mark Price, John Sally was on that
What
team.
did those guys ever do after that?
One of them made a lot of free throws. I remember that.
Yeah. I want to listen in on. I want you to listen in on a couple of quickies that we used the other night. But I also want to finish up. I had a thought on Lindor. Maybe you can help me through it.
Okay.
This is from Stu. He says, "How come we are happy not to have the first draft pick? Only the Browns could turn a burro into a donkey." There's a pun.
That's a pun. I'll give a 7.0.
That's good enough. Big Ed says, "How come my wife got irritated when she asked me where I was between 5 and 6, and I said kindergarten?"
Okay.
Do you have to establish some ground rules here?
Well, one of my things, Les, is that if I don't see it coming, I upgrade it.
Okay.
I'm going 9.0 on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Tough grader usually. That was easy. Toledo Mike says, "How come people say nothing is impossible? I've been doing it for years."
Been doing what?
Nothing. Said nothing's impossible. Hey, I just read them.
I'm downgrading myself for being on the uptick. I'm giving that an 8.0.
8.0 on you.
On him.
Mr. Gullible, how come if eyelashes are supposed to keep things out of my eyes, I keep getting an eyelash in my eye? There's a theme to some of his.
Here's what I'm going to do here, because I'm going to downgrade him to a 6.5.
Why, you expect better?
I expect better. Exactly, Les. I expect better from him.
Well, how about this one?
If that were like from Lawrence Butler, I'd say, okay, that's an 8. But from Mr. Gullible, that's a 6.5.
All right, Mr. Gullible comes back with this one. How come my homework assignment failed when my teacher told me to bring something difficult to write on, so I brought in sand?
Okay, listen. That is way too long. That is a 4.0.
Right, because they are quickies, sir. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, I have a thought on Francisco Lindor, or a question about him.
Yeah.
Everybody's upset with Paul Dolan, even though we don't know the outcome of this. I think we know what it's going to be, but it's not official yet. And everybody's, Dolan is cheap, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not sure how many teams would pay the kind of money Francisco Lindor is looking for, but I'm sure a couple will. But the question is, everybody's down on Paul Dolan and have been for years when it comes to money situations. How come nobody ever blames the player? I mean, it's Lindor who's apparently setting the price, although he didn't say it, but we're assuming the price is around $350 for 10 years. Isn't that about a fair amount that he's looking for?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
How come, because the team doesn't sign off on that, the player gets away scot-free as far as the fans are concerned? Other than Albert Bell, Albert Bell took some hits, but nobody's going to boo Lindor. Everybody's going to take his side on this thing, right?
Yeah, the last time a fan base here, sided with a team against a player, I think it was Jim Thome.
Right.
And that was because Jim, who is still one of the best people you'll ever meet in sports, cared so much about this community that he got out over his skis a little bit and said, you're going to have to rip this jersey off my back. And when they made the offer, which wasn't market value, he had other people, including people in his family, I'm sure, who were saying, don't settle for that. You can get so much more in Philadelphia. So I'm never come down hard on the player, because I think it's their career. If they're a special talent or have a special talent, they should be paid whatever they can get on the market. But you're right. In this case, if nobody's going to look at Lindor apparently and say, hey, how about if you take $30 million a year? How many Mercedes do you need or how many Teslas do you need in your garage? I wouldn't say that. I think he deserves whatever he can get, but it's also not so easy to turn it around and club the owners on the head for not being able to match that number.
And as we sort of talked earlier in the show, that if they did sign him, that wouldn't put a rush on the ticket sales department. That they're not going to buy every ticket there is out there. They're not going to challenge 455.
I think there'd be some goodwill that would immediately come from it. Especially if they made that signing going into a season. But I don't know that it's something that carries over for the length of a contract or even for a couple years.
All right, Bud, enjoy the weather. Enjoy your golf game. We'll talk to you next, what are we doing, Tuesday next week? Looks like?
Yes, sir.
Very good. We'll do it then. Thank you, Bud. Thank you very much. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll see you next time of all the shows I've ever done. This was the most recent.